Okay. So can you tell me the order of all the siblings?
There's Tio Tomas,
Okay, it's Tomas first.
and then Tio Tomas was he's Tio Meme, and then Tio Pancho, and then Tio Charlie, and then my mom. And my mom is there was one in between. The name was Charles. They call him Carlos, but he died when he was about 2 months. And then there was Tia Celia, Tio Carlos, Tio Gil, and Tia Divina.
And then your mom was Jesusa, no? Your mother was Jesusa?
My mom was
Who was your mother?
Adela.
Adela was your mother. Okay. Adela was your mother. And what was Adela like?
It was all right.
She was alright. What were some of the things she would do that you remember?
I don't know, everything.
She did everything.
It was, she was headstrong and she didn't back down from anything.
Really? What was something that you remember she didn't back down from that she would
No,
say?
she tell you one thing, that was it.
Oh, okay.
She didn't tell you twice.
Okay.
He didn't like, she was like that. I mean, she was raised like that.
Okay. And can you tell me about, let me see, what was your experience like growing up with so many siblings?
I stayed with, when I was 6 years old, I went to live with my grandmother and grandfather.
What were their names?
Rosalio and Adela.
Rosalio.
I stayed with them for about 6 years. I went back to my mom.
Okay.
I grew up around the bakery. So about 15 around the bakery. When I didn't come back for a while. Ese no te mortifica. Esos son políticos. Oh, you know.
Oh.
This one is a famous picture.
Wow.
Oh, the bakery.
Esta es La Divina. And that's
Tio Charlie.
Tio Charlie. And the baby?
Raúl.
Raúl? That's Raúl. And then
Tia Tere.
Tia Tere. Oh, she's so pretty. Yes.
Your grandfather.
Grandfather.
Grandmother. Your great-grandfather. And that was a baker they used to hire all the time.
Oh, the baker, like assistant hand. Oh, okay. Wow.
That's the business they get in Mexico. The name of the town.
Oh, this is like the city hall.
In Mexico. Abuelito Charlie.
Oh, okay. The field. Is this a cotton field?
No, that was a thing they were flowers, but that was my grandmother Adela and her sisters.
Oh, okay. So which one's Adela? This one? Let's start here. Who's this?
That was the little one.
This is Maya?
Her name was Maria.
Maria.
I know that one's.
Oh, there's one here too.
Yeah, there's four. There was supposed to be 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, and which one's Adela?
That one.
This
right
one, the
in
last
middle.
one.
This one here.
She's so pretty. Oh, this one. The one next to the last. That's Adela. And this is your tia?
Yeah, Tia. All of them were Tias.
Okay.
But that one lived in Sinton.
What was her name?
Maria.
Maria.
Tia Maria.
Oh, and then this one, I want to know who's who, because I don't know who everybody is.
Well, these ones here, those we don't know because this one left Robstown. She got married and left Robstown. They went to California. We never heard from her again.
Okay.
And this one died in Robstown. Her husband and she had a boy and a girl. Both died. All of them died in Robstown. They're buried in Robstown.
Oh, okay.
And this is my tío Andres.
Mm-hmm.
He was living in Cinto, in Alice.
Mm-hmm.
His descendants still in Alice.
Mm-hmm.
And he's my grandfather, Rosalio.
Rosalia.
And this is my grandmother, Apolonia.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandfather, Francisco. My great-grandfather, Francisco. That's when they were living in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Before they lost everything and moved to Texas.
Do you know how long it was? You don't know? Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
No idea.
It's okay. But it happened, and they were
I
there.
know my grandfather married my grandmother in Robstown.
So they had the kids first and then got married later?
No, my grandfather,
Uh-huh.
my grandfather Rosalio, she married my grandmother Adela
Mm-hmm.
in Robstown in 1913.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, well, they've been in Robstown since then.
Mm-hmm. Well, the family was so big, I can't imagine taking that whole family somewhere else.
So they came down to Robstown, my grandfather came to Robstown in 1903, 1904
Mm-hmm.
or 05, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
They've been in Robstown since then. So
And then did
all of my grandfathers and grandmothers' children were born in Robstown,
okay,
all of them.
the Nueces County.
In Nueces County. See, that's my grandmother Adela,
Uh-huh.
that's my mom, that's Tia Ramona, and that's your grandmother. Your
Tencha?
great-grandmother.
Chencha?
No,
No.
Chencha.
Chencha. That's it, not Chencha.
Crescencia was her name. but
Crescencia? Oh, I didn't know that. Crescencia. And estos niños, ¿de
That's
quién?
my sister and my brother-in-law.
Is your
And my
sister?
brother.
Oh, your brother? Which brother?
Yeah, that was my brother and his wife, and my sister and her husband.
Okay, so that's
Robert,
Robert.
Olivia,
Olivia here?
yes, Olivia there, and that's Viola,
Uh-huh.
and my brother Danny.
This is your brother Danny. And who's the little boy?
That's Meme.
That's Meme.
Meme, that's her son.
Oh,
Tia Ramona's son.
okay. And, okay. And can you tell me what the holidays were like there? Because
They were fine. They were good.
they're good holidays. I heard that they would make turkeys, that they would pay, people would pay.
Our grandfather would make about 5 or 6 turkeys for all the family come by and eat every Thanksgiving.
Every Thanksgiving.
For about 4 or 5 years. And then, they started moving away. We're in Florida, some in California, and they're everywhere. In Texas, they were everywhere.
Do you know what caused them to move? Was it just they were following the crops?
Just following trying to make a better living.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them could stay in Robstown.
Mm-hmm.
They some had good jobs in Robstown and Corpus.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them, they moved here. Tio Pancho and Tia Celia live here.
Mm-hmm.
All the families here.
Mm-hmm.
And in California, Tio Tomas and Tio Gil went to California too.
Mm-hmm.
But Tio Gil moved back to Texas and was living in Fort Worth when he died.
Mm-hmm.
So, and everybody from there. Tia Divina lives in San Antonio. She moved to San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. She's still there.
Yeah. And can you tell me more about the recipes and how the bakery started?
Oh, my grandfather started the bakery at the house, in his house.
In his house. Oh, okay.
Yeah, my mom used to tell me that her and her sister used to go out there to the neighbors and sell bread, all over, until he found his first. He opened first bakery, bakery in Avenue H. I don't remember what year.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be It could be in the 40s, but maybe 46, maybe 40, in the 45, 46, somewhere in there. A long time. And then from there, he moved to Main Street. That's where the bakery is still there. I think they've been there about 70, 74, 75 years.
Mhm.
So,
And about the cigar factory, do you know anything else about that?
which one?
The cigar factory, the tobacco plantation?
Oh, that was in Mexico. We
You don't know
have
about
one.
that? Okay,
I know they left it over there.
they left it, yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty good business. Because they still in business.
They're still in business?
Still in business.
What is it called?
I have no idea.
But do you know where it's located?
Yeah, in Montemorelos, Nuevo León.
Okay, but it's on the same street?
The same place, I think. I mean, I've never been over there.
Okay, well, I'll go back. I'll find out for you.
Yeah, but I know they're still in business right now.
Wow.
That's over 100 years.
I tried to look into it, but I couldn't find anything about it. So I was hoping you.
Yeah.
But now that I know for sure I have a reason to go back. I found the street.
They told my grandfather he could fight for it and get it back. Because my grandpa just left it. And the one that kept it was the what you call them, the people used to work for him. They were the one that kept it and owned it now. And my grandpa said, but there was so many in the family over there that he was the only one going to fight for it, and yet they were going to get a part of it. He said, I'm not going to fight for it. They've been there all the time. They can fight for it and keep it. I'm in Robstown, I'll stay in Robstown. He died, he buried in Robstown.
Do you know about what did Abuelita do before the bakery? I mean, Adela, what did she do before the bakery?
No, she was a housewife.
She was a housewife? And is it true that every morning her husband would bring her a cup of coffee in bed?
Before he left, he had different hours to go to the bakery, open the bakery. Sometimes at 3, sometimes at 2, sometimes at 4. But regular time was about 4 in the morning.
Okay. When the sun came up.
Yeah.
When the sun came up, he was up. Okay. And how did that make you feel when everybody started leaving?
Well, I left too.
You left too.
Yeah.
And then you met my grandmother, Maria Berta. I don't know what y'all call her. Berta? Maria? Berta. Yeah. And you were there with my grandfather when they met?
Yeah. I don't know where they met, but when he was going with her, I used to hang around with him all the time, so I knew her pretty good. She was a good people.
Mm-hmm.
But I hadn't seen her for over 30 years.
She laughs a lot.
Yeah.
She laughs a lot.
She did.
She laughed a lot.
She did.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
were you tired of driving around circles?
No, I'm not tired of it.
No.
We're kids,
Yeah.
We're growing up.
Yeah.
And like I say, I left first. He got married, and then he left for Houston. We talked, but not as often we should have, but we talk all the time. I talked to him about 6 months before he died. Talked to him for a little bit. He was in the nursing home.
He was.
But
He was watching his westerns.
yeah. But
What did y'all talk about? Just
we
catching
just
up.
talk about old times,
Yeah.
what I used to do. Used to have fun with.
Can you tell me about your love of cars?
Still do. I got 2 of them outside.
You had two outside. How did you get a hold of those? Those are some older models.
I look for them.
You look for them and you found them. And did you restore them yourself?
Now I'm working on them, but it's gonna be a while now 'cause of my stroke. I can't do much now.
That's how my grandfather was too. He'd get a part, and my grandmother would be like, "You ordered another part. Why do you keep ordering parts for that piece of junk?" And he'd be like, "It's okay. I'm gonna go put it in the garage." And she's like, "But I know they're there."
Yeah. Yeah, but still, you know, that
With
you do
his,
things that you love to do, you know, and
It keeps you-
keeps you happy.
it does. And where did you learn how to fix cars from?
Well, you know, hanging around friends and all of that, you know, like Payo, that I used to do the same thing, and my other cousins. I mean, we, you know,
Can you tell me more about the drive-in that Tio Carlos owned and the radio station? Do you know what it was called?
I know it was in Kingsville, but
Kingsville. The drive-in or the radio?
the radio station was in Kingsville. But he used to work there in Robstown.
Okay.
So, but you know, that
Mm-hmm.
raised around the bakery too.
Yeah. And then there was a hall, like a dance hall he owned too, that he would rent out.
Yeah, you rented out. Used to be the Shark Tank Hall.
Shark Tank Hall.
Yeah, because you know he was Carlos and the other one's name was Kennedy, so they only called him Shark Tank. So they had every major musician in South Texas play there.
And I heard Tio Carlos was like a politician or something.
He was kind of wanted to be a politician, but never got around to 100%. Maybe he was about 30%, but that was it.
Okay. And during that time of segregation, I know it was mostly Hispanics. Did
Yeah.
you feel any kind of segregated, did you experience?
Well, the segregation was that they had to mix the blacks and the whites,
Not the Hispanics, right?
but they mixed the Mexicans and the white and the blacks. They hardly put any whites together.
Okay.
That was the segregation was.
Okay.
You know, because back then they used to call us that we were white until they started fighting that no, we're going to be Hispanic, Mexican Americans, and Mexican Americans. That was it. So they had to change again. Mixed everybody, blacks, Mexican Americans, and whites, mix them up. But hardly we didn't worry about no segregation because we mostly went to Mexican schools.
Yeah. I figured that. Going back to Adela, what was the things that she liked to do? Do you remember her favorite color or her favorite song?
My grandmother, she was so, she
Was a simple person.
she was a housewife, but just she's the one that stayed in the bakery, done a lot of things. She didn't cook, she didn't do nothing because my grandfather wouldn't let her.
He wouldn't let her. That's so cute.
And but
He loved her so
she,
much.
whatever she wanted to do, she'd buy. They call them coronas. That's for flowers they put on the people that die. She would buy a whole bunch of them in Mexico and come resell them here, and that was the business she had.
Oh, okay.
And then buy stuff for the quinceañeras and buy stuff. She used to have a little business there at the bakery. She done good.
Really good.
But
And I heard she had a flower garden.
yeah, she loves the flowers.
That they were were they in the back of the bakery or
Yeah, she's in the bakery. There's still some there.
there's still some
To
there?
this day, still some there.
And they were hers.
Yeah, they were hers.
And she would stay there so she could be close to your dad, I bet. Or,
But everything's dies off. That's it. I mean, when people ain't there no more, that's it.
and then what else? I heard that Abuelita used to vote during the time where she had to pay like a tax or something to vote.
No, she bought her poll tax to vote.
A poll tax.
Yeah, because she was an American. She was born here. Her parents were born here too. I don't know how far, but I know they were here a long time. Because they've been back on her. They were back 15 generations, a long time.
And was she from a wealthy family?
She was there from around San Antonio area.
From San Antonio area.
But she was born in Papadote, Texas.
Papa what?
Papadote.
Papadote.
It's still named there. The name is still there. I mean,
Okay.
town, it's a little town, but still there.
Okay. And did she receive a higher level of education?
Well, back then, you know, it was hard
Yeah,
for Mexican Americans to get an education.
it was. Yes.
It wasn't easy for them
Yes.
because there were no schools for them.
Uh-huh.
I started later, you know, they started. You'll beat it time.
Mhm.
Back then, it wasn't easy for Americans to get a Mexican Americans to get an education. But now it's different.
Mhm. And who was your favorite person growing up?
Well, mostly all of them. I used to hang around Tio Charlie, Tio Carlos, Tio Gil.
Mhm.
I used to hang around them all the time.
And what was something that y'all would do together as Cabrera men?
Oh, just you hang around and listen to music, talk.
Oh yeah, you had a collection, right?
Yeah.
A huge collection of Tejano music.
Yes, and we used to have fun, you know, drive around. They kept us in check. They
Who?
kept us all in check.
Oh, the tios.
Yeah.
The tios kept you on check.
They made sure we didn't get no troubles.
What was the trouble that everyone else was getting into?
No, it's just, you know, whatever it is happening today.
Okay.
I mean, we used to drink, but you know, we didn't smoke no pot, we didn't do no drugs, we didn't,
Mm-hmm.
you know, mess around with it. Like I say, they kept us in check.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And most of all of us, not all of us, but few of us worked in the bakery for a long time.
And the famous Cabrera eye color? Who had colored eyes?
That was my mom and Tio Pancho.
Tio Pancho and your mom
They had green eyes.
had green eyes.
Yeah, but no, on my family, only Nana's granddaughter,
Who? Tere?
Marcy.
Marcy.
Has green eyes. That's the only one.
Has the green eyes.
Otherwise, Tio Pancho has two,
Two.
Rosie and the one that died, Goyo.
Goyo.
They had green eyes. That's the only two.
Okay.
But like I say, on the family, they were only mom and Tio Pancho and Goyo and Marcy. They were only five in the whole family.
Mhm. And what kind of jobs were available for Mexicans during that time?
Well, the city with a shovel
Uh-huh.
and a broom,
Uh-huh.
you know. There were other kind of jobs, but you know, you had to be educated to get them.
Mhm.
Now, everybody gets good jobs. You know, they get good jobs because they're educated.
Mhm.
They do.
Yeah. And Tia Divina kept you out of trouble, right?
Yes, I mean, she was a school teacher, so
Uh-huh.
you know, used to try to give us try to get us a GED, try to do us everything.
Can you tell me the story about how she would wait outside of the school for you?
Yeah, we used to wait inside the school for me.
Oh, inside, not outside. She would wait in the school.
For fire and
Oh, wait.
kept us in there for after school.
Oh, okay.
So we had, you know, when we came out, there was no time to go buy no beer, no nothing, but she didn't know we already had it in the car.
Yeah. And what color was the car? What kind of car was
She
it?
had Payo had a 1954 Mercury.
A 1954 Mercury. Okay.
And, you know, but we didn't do nothing but drive around, and that was it.
What was your favorite thing that your mother would make you to eat?
Huh?
Your favorite thing that your mom would make you to eat?
To make me eat,
To eat, yeah.
well, mostly everything.
Uh-huh.
But it was the caldo, the chicken and noodles. That was the best.
The caldo.
Yeah, she used to cook it for me every time when we went back to see her. That was she make it. She knew I loved it. So.
And did you have a favorite dessert?
It's the bread from the bakery.
Okay. We're from bakery. And what's your favorite color?
Red.
Red is your favorite color? Okay. And can you tell me about the Pachuco culture back in that time that you got to see?
Well, the Pachuca culture, you know, it was just a thing. It's a thing, man. Like right now, you got the people with the pants hanging around the behind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Pachuca were like that back then. You know, had the big double soled on the shoes
Double sold on the shoes.
and long hair
Uh-huh.
and with the church, you know, bigger church, and they should, you know, but it was a thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like it is now, but like I say, you know, having your pants around the behind.
In Houston, they have this like underground community of Pachucos that still come out and
Oh,
they,
they still come
still,
out, but
yeah,
it don't mean anything now.
yeah. Back then, it was
It's
like
just
if
a
you were,
culture. It was a culture back then.
oh, it was a culture,
Yeah,
like
that's
Tejano
like
culture.
you go to California, and you find a lot of Pachucos over there.
Oh, okay.
You know, but they're mostly from people that been there
Mm-hmm.
generations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because I was speaking to Charlie, and he was saying Chalio, and he was saying how he's like the older people would dress like that sometimes. So you should ask them. So I was like, let me ask you,
We never did dress like that.
because that's how like the thugs would dress, right?
My grandfather wouldn't put up with it. We did.
Oh. Can you tell me some of the things your grandfather would be unhappy about that how he would correct you?
Well, correct us, you know. They tell you, you know, I grew up rough.
Mm-hmm.
I know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want you to be like that or do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And 99% of the time, you were right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And did
You know you're going to try things regardless.
Yeah.
You're going to do things you're not supposed to, but you know, they try to tell us all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Be careful.
Did your grandfather or your father tell you any stories that they
I didn't know my father.
you didn't know?
I was 3 years old when he left.
when he left. Okay.
I didn't see him when I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finished telling him what I thought about him, I didn't see him no more.
Okay. And so your grandfather, did he tell you what his childhood was like?
Yeah.
What was it like?
Well, you see, they had a business. They were rich.
Like how we see in the novelas?
Yeah, they were very rich. He tell me that when I go to school, I had the people in there that you took care of them. They would, you know, give him a bath and everything, so take him to school, and they bring him back, take his clothes off, and put you know, old clothes on, and let him go play outside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just when he was ready to eat, they called him, he eat. He had to worry about nothing
Yeah.
until, you know, my grandmother and great grandfather separated, and they moved here.
Can you tell me about what led to the separation?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
And how did your great grandmother stay alive during that time?
They worked there. They started working from Laredo
Mm-hmm.
all the way to Robstown. They were building a railroad track.
Okay, from Laredo to Robstown. So she was, as a woman, she was allowed to work on the.
Well, you know, she had the kids and she had to take care of, so my brother.
Okay.